Do do
Whoa,
boop, do
whoa.
boop, do boop boop, do boop.
It's such a weird noise. It's one of the.
Alrighty. Oh, good.
Can you even change the ringtone of
The
Skype?
ringtone of Skype? I don't think so. I've never tried. Um, but I suppose anything's possible if you hack it enough.
Probably.
Yeah. How you doing, Rick?
Well,
How
I'm
mobile are
alive.
you?
I'm not too bad actually. Um, there's definitely still some weakness in my back.
Hmm.
Uh, I can't bend and twist like I used to.
Gotcha.
But like yesterday, I drove for the first time yesterday.
Okay.
Um, that wasn't it wasn't too bad.
And you went driving so you could go play games.
Well, amusing enough, I went driving so I can go to Hoplite Games.
There you go.
I didn't do that.
Nice. How are they doing
Uh,
over there?
he's doing pretty good. He's packed.
Oh, good.
He's got he's got quite a lot of stuff in that little store.
Yeah.
They're getting ready to do their Christmas break D&D camp
Oh, nice.
for kids 10 and up. And I think he's got 9 kids that are signed up for it.
That's so cool.
And what is the D&D thing that has all the little animals in it?
Humblewood.
Yeah. They sent him a ton of boxes for the kids.
Aw, that's
And
awesome.
another company sent him a whole bunch of dice sets.
That's cool.
So yeah, and he's got a local DM that's going to help out, and they're going to do a whole D&D camp for the Christmas season.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and I think he's planning to do it in the summer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. So he's got one night that's a game night that's actually across the street, um, at the Avenue, which is it's a bar club thing.
Okay.
They do non-traditional bar events,
Gotcha.
and one of them is a board game night.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and it's sponsored by Hoplite, so they take games over there and everything. Because his shop it's very unique because of how small it is.
Yeah.
But with his partnership with Avenue, he's got tons of room now to play games and have events.
Look at Rick talk.
He's making it work.
Making the moves. The movers and the
Yep.
shakers. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. That's great to hear.
Yeah, and that was like for me going out on that. It was a little bit. There was a little bit of walking involved,
Yeah. A little
like
bit.
more so than just around my house. So it was definitely okay. I'm done. Let's go home now.
Well, glad you got to get out and see some folks and that that robot spine is working out for you.
Yeah.
Oh, you can always trust the quality of the Maison Labs product line.
Hijacked. I That was kind of a funny thread. Like when you put that up there, I was like, "Oh, that's sweet." And then all of a sudden, we're like, "What kind of spine did I get?" Well, thanks, guys. I'm an official product of Maison Labs.
Yep. You don't even have to like cosplay if we go to like a convention or Adepticon or anything. You could just be like, I replaced my spine at Maison Labs, and all I got was this T-shirt.
Okay, I need to get that shirt made.
But
So
I think that's that's a fun segue into, hey, you're on Deadzone the podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Rick. Amazon Labs.
Welcome to the Deadzone podcast. Deadzone is the sci-fi tabletop.
Yes. Happy holidays, everybody, to our late December show.
Yes, holidays. Holy crap.
Yeah. Hope you're all doing well. In case you missed it, what we were talking about is Rick recently had some surgery done to help him with things. And we're pretty sure he just happened to wander into a Maison Lab facility, and they slap some cybernetics on his spine, and he's good to go.
Yeah, not to lie, from the whole Maison Labs thing though, the surgery center that we went to, it was very sketchy.
Always a fun sign.
Yeah, almost like you thought it was a strip mall.
Oh, okay.
I had my ACL reconstruction surgery there as well.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Was Rob Berman there wearing like 3 layers of glasses?
He might have been.
But yeah. So glad to hear you're on the mend and moving about some more.
I am I'm getting there.
And so with this episode being kind of our end of year one, we've got a couple of bits of news to talk about, and a little bit more on kind of where we're hoping to take the show kind of into the new year, and all sorts of other little fun things to do. So we'll get the news out of the way first, because we've got a couple of things. And I think I'll start off with, so if you've been a subscriber in the companion app, this is a kind of a timely one for listeners catching this before January. If you've been a subscriber to the companion app, you can go into your account page, and in the banner, there's mention of that there are free downloads available for you. These downloads include the full PDF versions of the Firefight Command Protocols, Armada Seas of Dread, and the Kings of War Clash of Kings 2024. All of these are available for free if you are subscribed to the companion app, and that's available until January 1st. So get on that, get your digital copy of Command Protocols, especially, it's always nice to have both options available in my preference. I love having the physical book. It's great. It's easy to flip through, but there are times where I'm like, not there, have to look up something really quick with a search query, and boom, I can just pull up the digital version and have it.
It's the random questions we get from Coach.
Yeah.
That's exactly why that thing is awesome to have on us.
Coach, I'm kind of in the middle of work, but okay, quick search. But yeah, so hop on that, check it out, especially if you're playing any of those other games as well. It's definitely worth it. It's a great gift from Mantic to support their community and people that are fully invested into their games. So that's awesome for them to do. A quick kind of tangentially related thing, the it was recently announced that The Walking Dead All Out War will be coming back.
Yes, it is.
So, we don't talk about that one as much on the show, in particular because it kind of went away for a little bit. But it sounds like they were able to renew the license, get some deals going, and so the skirmish battle style version of The Walking Dead tabletop game that Mantic has had for years, it was a huge success for them, is going to be coming back. And so,
I think the Walking Dead coming back is 100% fan driven.
Yeah. People love that game.
Yes, and when the IP was done, it didn't stop people.
No.
And it's kind of funny because it was like, okay, technically speaking, in the game world, this is a dead game.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended.
Walking Dead game.
So we're gonna move on to new projects, so on and so forth. The community for The Walking Dead didn't skip a beat. They just kept going, and you kept seeing people playing. You saw new scenarios pop up. They're very rabid about their game.
Yeah, and it was always a hit at conventions and everything to play. Yeah. There was always like the Walking Dead challenge at Adepticon where it was, how you have a set time limit, how many zombies can you take out. So it's really neat to hear that IP is coming back. I think that's a huge win for not only the players but also Mantic. It's one of those things there. If they're able to produce more product line and its sales go great, all ships rise, which we always love to see. Speaking of all ships rising, this segue doesn't work as well, but there's a new member to the Mantic company. Our good friend Andy Burtis at the BlackJackLegacy has officially joined Mantic.
Mantic crew.
Yep, he's going to be, as I understand, doing a lot of video work and kind of production stuff for the company. It's really great to see. He's been a huge fan and supporter of Mantic for a while. If you haven't seen his videos, go check them out. BlackJackLegacy on YouTube. Has always had great stuff to say, and a lot of community driven things went through his channel. He did a big firefight slow grow and Kings of War and all sorts of stuff. Great member of the community. Great to see him kind of finding a nice little spot for him on the Mantic team.
Yes, indeed. I think it's awesome.
All right. Some more news stuff. So the epic scale Warpath game
is coming in February.
Yes, February 14th is when 2024, the Kickstarter will be launching for the very tiny version of the Warpath game. And so we've been getting drip fed a few posts and articles about some technical aspects of the game. There was the kind of full I think they might have been an alpha stage rule set that they put out and made available to people. They've actively been working on it. It's going to be about a 10 to 12 millimeter scale. And they have been posting some pictures of the models that they've been rendering up so far. They're not the final ones.
Lancer tank.
Yes. Yep. The Lancer tank. I think that might be the Lancer tank. I forget if that's a GCPS one or
it's actual Lancer tank, but it looks awfully close to a Lancer tank.
Yeah. There's it looks like a little hover tank that some of the pictures that we've got so far are from the Enforcers and the Plague side of things. If you haven't seen the Plague ones, go check them out. It's an incredible amount of detail on how tiny these models are. And they're really shaping up. They've got them displayed on little discs where you fit 4 minis onto a disc for your movement tray. And there's
a holdover from Warpath.
Yeah, a little bit. And
because I still have those bases.
And so far, they've been talking about some of the mechanics of the game and kind of regular posts. They're going to have more going throughout December here into January. I think there's going to be even more news announced as the new year rolls around. But they've got stuff on movement, on designing the sculpts, some of the mechanics like Overwatch. And I was reading up on some of it because I still haven't had a chance to really dive into the old rule set yet, but or the new rule set that's been worked on. But it's shaping up pretty neatly, and there's like an element of mechanics where you kind of secretly declare what units are doing what.
Yep.
And then it's kind of like revealed that what actions those units are taking. It reminds me of a game that I really liked from a mechanic standpoint called Robo Rally. If you've never played that game, like the whole premise is like you and your opponent have little robots on either side of this map, and you put together these cards that dictate like how your robot's going to move and turn and stuff like that on this grid. And then when your turn comes around, you both reveal what your plan was, and your bots kind of go and follow the path that you laid out for them. And so it was a great level of like planning and then seeing like what happens afterwards once it executes. So it gave me a little bit of feel for that, and I really liked that from a game mechanic standpoint. So it's going to be neat to see how that translates onto the tabletop for Warpath.
Yeah, definitely, because they like instantly reminded me of X-Wing.
Oh, okay, yeah, that as well. So
which I enjoyed that one too. So I'm all about it.
This is John Jack from Crippled Fox Gaming, and you are listening to the lovely and talented Rick and Brian on Deadzone, the podcast.
So we've been getting a lot of questions lately about, or at least I've been getting a lot of questions about what's the points going to be for Firefight and Deadzone at Adepticon.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's funny because that people are excited.
Yes,
they want to get their list built.
Yeah, they want to get working on it here, especially for those in the holiday season, have some downtime, and I'm sorry that it's taken me a little bit. It's I've been in a state of transition a bit as I took on a new job and getting on board with that. But
how is it working for Maison Labs?
It's more of the electrical subsidiary. No, it's been going well so far.
Good.
And but as part of that, kind of just now getting around to getting those packets put together. So the rules packets are ready to go. They're getting submitted here shortly. So I feel comfortable announcing that we'll do Firefight, which is on Friday, which is from I think 3 to 11. It's going to be a long one, guys.
Yeah, but an advantage there because this will be the first time, at least in the U.S., that the guys are going to have 2 hours.
Yes. So this is we're going to be doing 1250 for our total points. We'll be playing on 6x4 tables, and with that we will have 2 hours per game, and with a little time in there to break for dinner, which will be nice, especially if you're doing the Ironman of doing Armada that morning, which some people were. I they did it last year. I can imagine they'll be doing it again this year. So it is planned to go a little bit later. But I think, ultimately this will give us a chance to really, we always felt at the higher point levels we were going, the more that time crunch really kind of played into how the games were going to end. And we want people to be able to play their game fully. So I think a 2-hour block should be a good amount of time for it. And that 1250 might be our nice little sweet spot. We were at, I think we just did 1,000 last year at Adepticon. We've since done like a 1,200, and so just something a little extra to make it a fun matchup. And we'll see how that goes. So again, Firefight is on Friday, 3 to 11, and that's going to be at 1,250 points for 2 hours per game. So hopefully you can get some playtime in there. We are going to be using command protocols, if that was not obvious. And I will be sharing some announcements probably in the Facebook area. And if I can, I want to probably get some posts up on Mantic's site leading up to the event if I can. Kind of work with them on that front. And so that's Firefight. And so Deadzone, which is Saturday.
This is going to be a big switch because Deadzone's never been played on Saturday.
Yeah, we did last year actually.
Oh yeah, it was Saturday night.
Yeah, usually it happens in the night, but lately with how the games are laying out, Saturday morning really fits well, and so that's going to be from 9 to it's like 4:15.
That's 4:15.
Officially, it says it ends at 4, but I got a little like 15-minute time block just to get the award ceremony done. And in there is there's 4 games for that. I forgot to mention. So Firefight, we're doing 3 games. For Deadzone, we're doing 4 games with a lunch break in the middle.
points, right?
175 points.
450 points, right?
Rick caught me in a sleepy, deprived moment when he asked me, so what the points are going to be at? And I'm like, 1250 for Firefight, 750 for Deadzone. And I kept going. And then he's like, wait, how many points for Deadzone?
Points for Deadzone?
Yeah. So
the reason why I said 450 just now instead of 750 is because I tried to make a list. I got to 450 going, nope. There's nope.
750 points of Deadzone would be crazy big. I imagine.
Fight game.
Yeah, you're playing a firefight game with Deadzone minis.
With individuals.
Yeah, with individuals as opposed to squads. Oh man, that game would take forever. Like one round could probably take an hour.
Well, we played a game kind of like that, but we'll get back to that later.
True. But yeah, so for the Adepticon Deadzone game, we've got, as I said, 9 to 415. It's 175 points, and it's pretty similar. I will say, since there was some confusion last year, and we just happened to stumble upon the thing that we needed, i.e., all of our item packets, as we were packing up everything. I will confirm now for everyone to hear that item tokens will be provided for each playmat. My goal is that it will be a preset pack of items. We're actually going to be 3D printing them. We have some really awesome STLs that we use personally for my own games, And I've got a nice little set. I think we did them at the Michigan GT.
We did.
But I'll have them painted up this time since I have time to get this done. But yeah, they work great for the Michigan GT. I think they're really handy to have. Throw them in a little Ziploc bag. We can stick them with at every table. They're preset, so we're just going to be doing 8 crates. So that'll help us guarantee everything from the intel, which can net you a tournament point, to the booby trap is in there, and frag grenades and everything like that. There's a good mix of the items, and they will be at each play table. So there you go, Coach.
Items will be in play.
Items will be in play. And so the games themselves will be running on 75 minutes. That's worked really well for us in the past. Really haven't had many games that really like, oh, we barely got going in that time frame. Yeah. Usually you're about over half the players are done before then. And so especially at 175, I think it'll go really nice and smooth. That's kind of our favorite little point level to be at. And so that's gonna be Deadzone. And I'm just looking through the thing at all and see if there's anything. We also had that realization that some of the tournament packets we've been using for multiple years now have had weird rules written into them that we were not paying attention to or acknowledging their existence of. So I've cleaned out. They were holdovers from before we kind of reworked the packets, and I had just forgotten to take them out, kind of thing. Such as when we switched to a 5-point tournament points scale for winning the battle, but it says if your opponent gets ejected from the game or something, you get 20 tournament points. And I'm like, that math isn't adding up. So we got a lot of that cleaned up and squared away, and we still have our fun little twists. So for those that haven't gotten to play in one of the tournaments that we've run, not only do we have the typical 5-2-1 win, draw, loss tournament point scale, but we also have some extra fun goodies laced within on the tournament point side. Really simple things that don't greatly impact the gameplay of it. You can still play the scenario and whatever to win, but we do like to have other things just to get a little extra flavor out of it, such as if you discover the intel item, you gain 1 tournament point in addition to the victory points that you get. Both players can earn that, though I suppose if we only have 1 intel icon now, only 1 player will really get a chance to. But you both have a chance to win it. So if you get a model in the enemy's deployment zone at the end of a round, you gain 1 tournament point. And then you also get 2 tournament points if you kill your opponent's commander. So that's a fun little twist for Deadzone. And then Firefight, we actually have a similar set, just a little fewer options since they don't have intel. But we do have it where you do gain 2 tournament points for killing an opponent's command unit. You get that once per game, so if it doesn't penalize people overtly if they have multiple command units. You only get it the one time. That's worth 2 tournament points, and then you do get 1 tournament point for having a model in your enemy's deployment zone at the end of the game only, because. With how movement works in Firefight, as Rick found out with how crazy fast his cyborgs can go at times, it's really easy to just wind up at the end, the other edge of the table, just at the end of a round. So putting it at the end of the game, I thought was more of an objective kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the rule sets for the Adepticon games coming up at the end of March. Really excited for them. I'll be getting the actual scenario packets put together as well, so that we can get those out and people can start really playing the scenarios. Have to pick them yet, but if you just kind of look at the ones that for the most part are like balanced objective wise and deployment zone wise, that'll kind of be where we pull from. We don't really, for tournaments, we don't really go for the ones that are sadly maybe a bit more narrative driven or off balanced, where one player has like an advantage over the other.
Yep.
So, but yeah, 750 points for Deadzone. It's crazy.
It was.
But yeah, so other little goodies that I wanted to bring up. So two things, and then we'll kind of get into our fun little section of the show. So in the vault, they had kind of a naughty or nice elf theme going into December, and kind of sadly that meant that on the sci-fi side of things, they put Nastanza in there. Sadly, in the sense that she's the only sci-fi model in there, but it is like her kind of crouched sculpt, where she's aiming down her rifle. Neat character, has kind of mysterious backstory. I think in the lore it is actually written that it's not known if she's an Astarian or not, though I think she's and at different points has kind of been categorized as one. She was often as a mercenary, partied with the taken with the Astarians and stuff as a living legend for them. But yeah, so really cool model ultimately, but they got a lot more fantasy in there for this month, which includes some of their new the Twilightkin elves from the Kings of War line, which are brand new, so really neat to see those guys hit the vault as well. I think the vault has continued to be a huge success and boon to the players the gamers that partake in these across the board. Armada in particular, you guys are eating good. I
thought it was really cool that we actually got a bust this month.
Yeah, that was also really neat. That rather than just traditional here's the minis that we use, to do something more like a bust where it's I forget the specific model. It's a Night Stalker model, I believe. I think Banshee maybe. Yeah, it's more kind of a blown up bust of that model, and it's kind of neat to be able to have the statues and stuff of some of these characters, especially with the detail on them. Like, they're really cool to paint up. Not that I'm very good at painting up things in a timely fashion.
And the Twilightkin Navigator.
Oh, it's the Navigator. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the actual bust.
Gotcha. Very cool. And yeah. So as kind of a last bit of newsy news, so Corvus Games Terrain,
yes,
a sponsor of our show, and a great friend, and really puts together some amazing 3D models. And I'll mention it now because I often forget to. You can go to Corvus Games Terrain and his website for his online store, and you can use our coupon code DZ Podcast January to get a little discount on your purchases there. He does have a 20% holiday discount going on right now. that I definitely recommend hopping on. It's a little bit more than I think our coupon code gets you, but it only lasts till like I think the end of January or the beginning of January, whereas ours should get you all the way through the end of the month. And but you know, always great stuff on that store, especially now that the Magna Fortuna Kickstarter campaign was a huge success. Had 12,900 euros raised or around there, and which he was kind enough. It was close enough that he did wind up unlocking the mining drill structure that he had as a stretch goal at 13,000.
Yep.
And so like hit a whole bunch of stretch goals, all sorts of scattered terrain and other goodies. I think some crystals were in there and other stuff like that. The social goals were hit to unlock his little like sci-fi lab tech goons, and you know, kind of one of his first forays into doing miniatures. And they printed up really nice. Rick got me a whole bunch.
Yep.
And you can see them on the YouTube video I did. I posted kind of talking about the Kickstarter. I kind of show off the models that I've printed off so far. And yeah, so awesome to see so much, you know, work getting done on that front. He's actually got the email this morning as of this recording that the files are being put together to be distributed. I think they'll be going through my mini factory, and then he's working on kind of the assembling the catalog, because that's one thing that's I really like about when he puts together big projects like this, is he includes a PDF catalog that has pictures of all the different layouts and everything that are included.
What?
Because there's often a lot of them. And so, like, just kind of knowing, you know, they're labeled in a sequential way, so you don't just like looking at the file names, you don't know. It's like, okay, this one is kind of the X style, like scaffolding type structure, and this one is more of like the one cube building that has a door and a big old vent on the back. Like, you look at the catalog, you can see that, and then it's like, oh, okay, that one is number 5. That one is number 12. So he's getting that put together, but the files are getting all sent out, so can't wait to get our hands on that infested terrain. I think that looks really sweet. And on top of that, as an extra, like, awesome goodie, there were some stretch goals kind of further down the line that we were really excited for, didn't quite make the cut. However, he is releasing them. He's releasing them individually on his store, so we can get that rock pack and the plant pack that he had as stretch goals. And I think there's going to be even more that were on that list that he'll be releasing kind of on their own. So go and use that coupon code to pick those up, because it's going to be so cool to play Deadzone, like, with natural terrain as the terrain.
Yep.
I'm so geeked to get some of that stuff printing. Of course, I'm actually going to be gone for like a week here, or a weekend, for the next like 4 or 5 days, so my printer will be so quiet. But I need more filament, so.
I mean, that works.
But yeah, so that's kind of our big update from Corvus Games Terrain, who's been a great supporter of the show. And we always like, you know, when new products come out from him, it's always like kid in the candy store, like it's Christmas morning, as they say.
Hey, I'm Chopper.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Rob.
From Mobile Armor Radio.
And you are listening to Deadzone, the podcast with Rick and Brian in the morning.
Never heard of it.
I don't even know who those guys are.
This Deadzone, the podcast hobby table, is sponsored by Corvus Games Terrain, 3D printer files for all your Mantic games.
And by Acid House Terrain, foldable cardboard terrain for wargaming and RPGs.
And so for our next section, we'll kind of count this as our hobby table.
That's good because my hobby table is blank.
Yeah, Rick's hobby table is down a set of stairs, and
yeah,
when you have limited mobility, that makes it difficult. And I've been so busy that I haven't had a chance to work on much of anything apart from printing fantasy terrain. That I'm handing off to somebody else to paint up. So hopefully I still get a chance to paint up some more stuff here since football season's starting to wrap up, so won't need to take that opportunity to finish painting things while I'm down in the basement watching football. But I digress. Our hobby table section, we actually wanted to take a moment and talk about our top 5 Warpath products, product lines, releases from Mantic Games. You know, what have they released for the Warpath universe that we absolutely love?
Yeah.
And I realize I've been doing a whole lot of talking, and this was technically Rick's idea, so I will let Rick go first.
It's all right. No, so yeah, top 5. So part of the reason why this popped in my head because we're at the end of the year, and since we've had the show, just since we've been part of the show, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened, and there were a couple key moments for me personally that just highlighted everything for me when it came to this game, and it's tough to put it into a top 5.
Yeah, it really is.
But with it being a top 5, I have to say my number 6 on that, just to throw it in there, was Deadzone 2nd Edition. The reason why that's got to be a mention is because, the release of Deadzone 2nd Edition is where we met.
That is true.
First demo, that was my first demo of Deadzone 2nd Edition. So it's kind of one of those, no, this has got to be said.
and the first game of Deadzone I ever played.
Yeah.
No, 2nd Edition was so good.
So just a little bit of fun recap-ish for 2023 and previous years.
Yeah.
So I figured we start with our 5 and go to our number 1.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And this is across the board. This is model releases. This is expansion. This is potentially games. So amusingly enough, I say my number 6 was Deadzone 2nd Edition. My number 5 is actually Deadzone 3rd Edition.
Nice.
Because of the packaging, because of thanks to Rob Bergman and his communication with the two of us.
Yeah.
Deadzone 3rd Edition, that release was just amazing across the board. So yeah, that's my number 5. What about you, Brian?
So my number 5 really kind of coincides with around the time that I was really starting to get into Deadzone and the Warpath universe, and I had just missed the cut. Star Saga is my number 5.
Such a cool release.
The Arius contract, and it's not only a fun board. I say I missed the Kickstarter for it. But it was coming out right at the time where everyone was looking around like, man, where's the next really neat sci-fi RPG dungeon crawler? Because to put in perspective, Starfinder wasn't even out yet.
Oh wow!
I distinctly remember Star Saga and Starfinder coming out right around the same time.
Yep.
And that was like the type of game I was looking for with that. And so like having the really cool mercs and the whole Maison Labs really like coming to the scene, and entering the Warpath universe as a major faction, I thought was really cool. And especially now that I've been kind of going through the books and themselves and trying to play through it, like not only is it just a fun game in general, but like the story at its heart, I think it expands the Warpath narrative in really, really fascinating ways. And it's kind of that sad thing where it's like because people haven't had a chance to play it as much, that they're kind of missing out on that front. But yeah, like Star Saga is really cool. If you can get your hands on it, do so. I think you'll really enjoy it. And yeah, so that's my number 5.
Very nice. So number 4. So there might be a running theme here for me with Rob Berman. So my number 4 was the sneak peeks for me, and then the release of the Grunt Bot.
Yeah.
Rob Berman kept pushing that at me because he knows I love goblins. And then they released this Grunt Bot that looks like a goblin. It was such a cool release. I think I have 4 of them.
Oh, nice.
Maybe
5. I have at least 3. I have a metal one and I have 2 of the resin ones. Because I wrote a story about 3 of them.
I don't have any resin ones.
Oh no, you got just the metal ones.
No, mine are all anvils.
Yeah, they're heavy. They're heavy boys. Very nice. Well,
yeah, that's my number 4.
Well, it's kind of funny because that leads into my number 4 pretty well. And mine is kind of a cheap out in that it includes multiple models. I'd put Mantic's mechs. So the Strider, the Stuntbot, the Iron Ancestor, the Spectra, like all of these model kits they're such great kits. They look so cool and thematic. Like each of them is visually distinct from one another in very specific ways. And you know, like the Strider looks like such a workhorse, right? The Stuntbot looks like such a scrappy piece of of junk that somehow works. The Iron Ancestor looks like it's a meticulously dwarven crafted piece. And then, of course, the Spectra is this agile ninja of a mech. You know, it all of them across the board, I think they just have such a distinct flavor amongst them, and they stand out as the giants of the game.
Yes. I cannot argue with that statement at all. So then we go to what? Number 3?
Number 3.
3. So it was your number 4, Star Saga.
Or my number 5?
5, Star Saga. So part of the reason why Star Saga is number 3 for me was everything that surrounded Star Saga. So we had a blast at the old Evo location.
Yeah.
Group of us because I was able to get a copy of it early to do demos. And we played every week.
Yeah.
For a good time, and the game was so much fun. And then of course you have what's all in the game. I mean, all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of models that you didn't have access to before. And all of a sudden there's these new releases for Deadzone as well. Mm-hmm. You had the Nameless, you had the GCPS pop, and you had Maison Labs eventually, all because of this board game.
Yeah.
And of course there was an aberration in there, and I love my aberrations almost as much as we love mechs.
and the Chovar.
Oh yes. The data storage unit.
the data storage unit, which has proven to be a very versatile and useful model in both Deadzone and Firefight.
Yeah.
Nice. So my number 3 is shout out to Jeff Burbage because Dreadball Second Edition / the Magnetar Circuit. I absolutely love Dreadball. Jeff had introduced it to us, and I was hooked like right away. At first, it was one of those things like, oh, here's another Mantic line where I can get some Reb models. I can get some Spear for my Rebs. But it quickly turned into not only a love for like this really fast-paced sci-fi sports game, which blew me away because I was not into sports games prior to that point, but also just like how it influenced and exists within the Warpath universe. Like,
yeah,
it's you look at some games where you have kind of those offshoots. Like I look at the Warhammer side of things and I see Blood Bowl and everything, and there's this disconnect in my head. I'm like, that and the main game can't exist together. Like there's a dissonance of that. Dreadball fits perfectly within the universe that it exists in, which is the same one that Deadzone exists in, the same one that Firefight exists in, and like so it's just that novelty of this is a sci-fi sports game run by mega corporations to please the masses. Just it fits right at home. On top of being a really fun game, and like looking through, one of the things I did this year was I went back and I looked through all like the early first edition rule books and stuff like that, which were chock full of lore, including a whole bunch of the stuff for Dreadball, like the first edition Dreadball books. And when they introduced factions and everything, and how much writing went into crafting, how this particular team exists within, the greater ecosystem that is the GCPS. And yeah, it's just a really fun game. Magnetar Circuit was, I think, a fantastic addition on top of second edition's rule set. Like second edition is just such a clean rule set. To the point where it kind of struggled, I think, to like have a what do you do next for it, because it's just so good.
Yep.
Whereas the Magnetar Circuit really introduced some fantastic evolutions of concepts, such as the historical games, which are a great way for people to experience what a league game is like, without having to do a whole league to get there. Leagues are a blast themselves, but they can be a lot of work. So being able to just kind of jump into historical matchups, I think, is a fun time. The different pitches, like the themed pitches that have different events and stuff going on that you have to pay attention to.
You're in the sky.
You're in the sky. You can get knocked off and die. So yeah, I can rant and rave about my love of Dreadball till the cows come home. But so that's my number 3, and I do hope we get to see some more love for that particular game line in the future.
So number 2. So I'm not surprised that our lists are fairly similar. And again, it's Rob Bourbon's influence on me. So just before the model released, I would get a random picture of an arm, part of the leg, the very top of the head for the Spectra. The Spectra release was, I'm trying to remember exactly what Rob said to me. It was something along the lines of, this is the Brian and Rick release.
Yeah.
This is the model that the two of you are going to love the most. And obviously, we love our mechs. And how sleek the Spectra is. Like, it's such a gorgeous model, whether you're using the sword or the pistol. And I absolutely loved the release of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the Spectra was my number 2.
No, it's that thing where I kind of feel bad. It took me so long to get one. I just had like such a backlog of things. But I have one now, and I need to get that put together. I'm only like finally getting around to doing my Asterians. So.
Well, you know.
So my number 2 is Firefight 2nd Edition.
Yes.
It's that thing where like I remember first edition of Firefight. It came out as as an offshoot of the Warpath game that they were working on to be kind of this middle ground in scale between Deadzone and Warpath. And it was a rocky game. Like I remember playing it, trying it out. And it just didn't quite click. Like there were things about it that just didn't quite feel right. And so like the fact that Mantic took that feedback and rather than just going, it's like, you know what? It's not worth it. Like there won't be a game between Deadzone and Warpath. They took that feedback and it's like, okay, if we were gonna take the time on it, take in that feedback from people. Let's make it a game based on D8s, to start setting really set ourselves apart from the other sci-fi skirmish games out there, because it's not quite, it's a level above. I forget what the label for that, just war game, I guess. But that specific level of tabletop game, and I think they really knocked it out of the park with 2nd edition. It won Game of the Year the year it came out. I think there's a strong chance that with the command protocols, they might win it again. I forget when that actually that like contest happens or that poll, but it, especially with the command protocols, it shaved off a lot of the rougher edges of the game. I think it really sings now. The factions really feel distinct from one another, and it plays so smooth. So it's great to see that game really kind of get that second look, that second chance at life, and be very successful too. So
100%.
Yeah, Firefight 2nd Edition is mine.
All right. So that goes to number 1. So
Right to the world.
I want my $2. So my number 1 was kind of a 3-month extravaganza, really. So we had a really large group here in Lansing. We were playing constantly, and we were so amped when Outbreak came out. The Outbreak expansion introduced so much to the game, and it was around that same time we decided to do a campaign as well.
Yep.
And then to top it off with that, we go to Gen Con.
Yep.
Or just for Mantic Night. But a whole crew of us go. We all had Outbreak shirts made.
Yep.
We had extra ones for Ronnie and Martin.
Yep.
So for me, when it comes to a release, it's more than just the product coming out. It's everything around it. And what we did during the Outbreak release, like that was probably the highlight of the Warpath universe for me for the last 5 years.
Yeah. No, that was a great great edition of the game too. Like that was second edition getting the upgrades that it needed.
Yep.
Between that and the Nexus Psi expansions, like that game was rock solid as well. But yeah, Outbreak, it was so much fun to do that campaign. I remember our buddy Michael was the newest player and just stole the show.
Just dominated with missile launchers.
Yeah, Enforcer specialist with missile launchers, and I think Solid. He got Solid was his upgrade for him, so he couldn't be knocked over.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, he was.
But it was that climax too, because we had that huge game.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were talking about 750 points of Deadzone, we attempted to play this multiplayer huge into the campaign match with all of us.
Yeah.
And we got through one round.
Yeah. And
because there was so much going on.
There was a lot going on. But no, you're absolutely right. That was a huge blast to play and be a part of, and just so much fun. Like it was a great community moment centered around this awesome game called Deadzone.
Yep. So now the drum roll for you.
Yeah. Number one for Brian. Rick, I'll give you a guess. I'll give you 2 guesses, but you're only going to need one.
What, the revamp of the Rebs?
My number 1 is the Rebs. This was the faction that I was immediately drawn to when I first got into Deadzone.
Yeah.
The nature of this ragtag band of different aliens coming together to push back against their corporate overlords and fight for peace, justice, and I guess the American dream in space. But it's like I said, the big Firefly StarCraft kind of influences I had going into the Deadzone and everything, to have this faction that was, you have this hammerhead shark species, you have these giant teleporting turtles, you've got these dudes with 4 arms, guys with wings, weird little purple dudes that walk on their arms and shoot with their legs, the little space monkey lions. It's just such a creative faction that I immediately is like there's stories to tell with these models. It
was from the get-go for you.
Yeah, and I dove in
the lists.
I dove in. Second edition Rebs were a little tough to play. Not gonna lie.
But it didn't stop you.
It didn't stop me though. So after many months of losing, I think I finally won. I took them to Adepticon and the 1 year, and I did really well. I think it was my first game against Coach. I just got decimated, but otherwise, I kind of finally found the groove with them. And then, especially with the expansions in second edition, they really took on, they got a little bit more balanced and retooled. Had a lot more things that they could do.
And Star Saga
with all the models that came from that expansion. And yeah.
Stupid apes.
Alpha Simians are it is always a toss up for me. Like I love the Alphas. The Rebs are a faction that I struggle to make lists because I love them. Like I love all the models. I want to take everything. They're all like they all really jive together, especially now in third edition. I think the only
Really? Give me a minute.
But I feel like the only thing kind of missing now is kind of that that next step for the Rebs, because the Star Saga was kind of the last run of like new models for them.
Yeah.
And there's still places that I think that faction could go. It'd be really fascinating to see something like what they did with Nexus Psi come back, where it was the elite lists and having themed lists. So for those that never got to play that, so the elite list was basically a restructuring of what units you have available to build your list around. And for instance, the Reb one was you would have a sphere leader who is it was specifically Nikolovsky.
Yep.
And with the whole point being, and you could take survey drones, and a whole bunch of like you still get troops and stuff. But there was I think at the time you could take other sphere units as troops was another kind of bonus. I think that was even before the Sphere Hunter model had shown up. So it was, I think you could take the Sphere Lancers as troops, which is cool. But then it was also that you could take survey drones that had Boom 3 on them. Because the whole thing with her character is she's a full-on, terrorist. She will suicide bomb survey drones into places and blow them up. Like, so like that was just such a great flavor for the game, and I'd be really excited if third edition did something like that, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to do it as well. But yeah, so if it was probably obvious to everyone, but the Rebs were my number one Warpath thing. So if you guys have a top 5 list of models or units in the Warpath universe, or things that you just love about it, feel free to reach out to us in the comment section up on YouTube or on Facebook, all of our social media platforms. We love to hear from you guys, and especially, there's so many honorable mentions in this list. I love the Forge Fathers as a faction because of just how thematic their faction is. Like, they just stand out as the space dwarf faction.
Yes.
In all, in pretty much all tabletop gaming right now. Like, they are my. If someone said, what, point to me a space dwarf, Forge Fathers all the way.
Yep.
Hey, if you're looking for Deadzone the Podcast, check out every social media platform because you're probably going to find us. Just look us up, Deadzone the Podcast.
But yeah, so that's kind of a wrap on our top 5 lists. And as kind of as we kind of close out the show, once again, hope everyone has a safe holiday. The show itself, we are really hoping to get a little extra effort kind of going into this next year. It's kind of a constant thing where we're working to improve the quality of the show. Coming from the audio side, trying to get some better mics for us, which I think I might have more opportunity to do that now. Because it is kind of the unfortunate thing is, like, with my new job, it means I won't be commuting as much to Lansing, where I can go and hang out at the Thunderforge studio, at least on a more regular basis than I would like. Still planning to get together, obviously, but the schedules are now kind of having to line a little bit differently than they used to. And but that means I would really love to improve the quality of like my recording at home. So when we do kind of our remote records, we still kind of have that same level of quality that we have when we're recording in the studio. And as far as YouTube as well, we're definitely pushing to get some more YouTube content and some videos out there. We hear it from the community kind of constantly, really, is people are getting into the game. They want to see firefight battle reports. They want to see Deadzone. They want to hear how people build lists and all sorts of stuff like that. And that's definitely at the core of our show. That's something we want to be able to provide to people. We are Deadzone, the podcast, and we love this game and want to help that community, grow and continue. So, yeah, I think that I realized I talked a lot during this episode. Rick, what do you got going on?
Rick hasn't had a lot going on. I mean, the only thing I got going on is the fact that I made it downstairs to get some stocking stuffers for my nephew.
Well, you got to play with him on the Thanksgiving break.
For Thanksgiving, I got to play. I would not be surprised if come this weekend, Christmas. So we do a big family thing, and I would not be surprised if me and David sit down and play some Deadzone again.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you get a chance, break out some of these games with those favorite family members that you have. It's a great time of year to stay inside and play games.
It really is.
Yeah. So but I think with that'll put a cap on our Deadzone the Podcast episode 151, and a wrap for 2023 for us. So as we roll into the new year, I've been Brian.
I'm still Rick.
Yeah. And that's Deadzone the Podcast.
Bum bum bum.
As we start changing up how we end the show.
Yeah, we change things up all the time. What are you talking about? So I'm so, I can't wait for Christmas. I want to see what's in Dungeon Saga's Origins so bad.
Yeah.
It's under the tree for me.
Ah.
So I did the Kickstarter, and Michael jumped in with me because he wanted the hero pack.
Mm-hmm.
So the box came, gave him the hero pack, and Val took the game.
She took it.
She took it, and it's wrapped, and it'll be under the Christmas tree. And I'm like, all right, now I just gotta wait. And everybody's posting all these things. I'm like, oh my god, they're so bad.
Yeah.